Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, as we are on the brink of the most demented holiday of the calendar season, it feels fitting that we got to dive into this movie because, Halloween needed its sweet little movie too, and it just got re-released on Blu-ray for all of us to enjoy. Uh, and if you're, as always, if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do because you're listening. Please subscribe. It means a lot. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a like. Give us the old 5-star rating. Basically, wherever you get your podcasts. We're pretty much everywhere. We're at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so you can give us a like and subscribe there as well. We would absolutely appreciate it. Also, do not hesitate to follow us on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Instagram, as the kids call it, at where else? We're at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates, and finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because you know what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please pay us a visit. This is a special one. It feels fitting that we get to talk about this movie right now on the brink of Halloween, or Halloween, depending on when you're listening to this, but recently released on to Blu-ray for the very first time from our friends over at Synapse Films. It is Satan's Little Helper from director Jeff Lieberman, and it stars Katheryn Winnick and Amanda Plummer, and it's the story of 9-year-old Douglas Hooley, who's obsessed with the handheld video game Satan's Little Helper, and annoyed that the attention of his big sister Jenna, played by Katheryn Winnick, is being distracted by her new boyfriend, Alex. These two concerns collide on Halloween, though, when Douglas witnesses a serial killer in a devil mask, posing his victims like outdoor All Hallows Eve displays, and really not understanding the reality of the carnage that he just witnessed. Douglas enthusiastically becomes this Satan's Little Helper, and that's kind of bad news, especially for Alex, for Douglas, and for Jenna's mom, played by Amanda Plummer, and ultimately the entire town. It's wry, there's some satire here, it's just deadpan hilarious, and there are some genuinely earned scary moments as well. It's the horror comedy almost before the horror comedy was really a thing. I mean, this was an independent production. There had been some stuff, but this has been sort of talked about in back rooms and traded on cult tapes since 2004, but it has been gorgeously re-released now on Blu-ray from Synapse Films. It's got behind-the-scenes stuff. It's got a fantastic commentary track from the man we actually got the chance to sit down with, Mr. Jeff Lieberman, and we talked about the origins of the film, just getting it all going, and the legacy therein, and just not being subservient to the bullshit, because this is the kind of movie that, while we revel now in 2022, it could never be made because of various politically correct forces and God knows what else. But it is deadpan funny. It is gory. It's a hoot for anyone who loves the horror genre. This movie is an absolute hoot, and do go to your local retailer like Bay Street Video, who just happens to be a sponsor of the show, but and pick up a copy of Satan's Little Helper, or various other retailers. You can check the online ones too. We're not going to hold you to that, but first, check out our talk with Jeff Lieberman before you watch Satan's Little Helper, because between you and me, this is a pretty good conversation. Well, just to kick it off, man, obviously, thank you so much for the time, and I mean, congratulations on the film being re-released on Blu-ray today.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I was in Italy. I was like tuned out completely, but it's never been on Blu-ray, which was a shame. So it looks great.
No, it looks absolutely fantastic, man. I mean, and honestly, I had never seen the film before, and it was just an absolute hoot. I mean, I guess walk me through what the origin of the story was on your end.
You mean
The film.
the of the when I was turned 50, I had a big house in Westchester at the time, and I figured, well, my birthday is the 16th of October, close enough to Halloween. I'll invite everybody and have a costume party. And I have friends that a lot of them have money. They'll go rent things. I said you can't come in without no excuses. You have to have a costume. So the house was packed, and we're smoking weed and drinking, and having a great time. Everything's good, and I just assumed that everybody was invited. After an hour, everybody that's coming is there. All of a sudden, a full gorilla outfit guy comes in. And I'm thinking, everybody's here. Like, what's going on? And then I realized, well, maybe I'm wrong because this guy's acting like people put on a gorilla outfit. The first thing they do, they fill up the girls and go, just act like a gorilla. So I figured, I know what it is, because one of my friends, that's what he would do. Instant excuse for being an asshole because you're a gorilla. And he starts dancing with me, and he puts on music, and it's like, and then while I'm swirling around with this gorilla, I see the guy who I thought I was dancing with. It wasn't him. The guy that he was in some other outfit. And I saw him. So I'm thinking, well, who's in this gorilla outfit? Everybody's here already. Could be very serious shit, because if you just came to my house and came through the front door, nobody would have any reason to reject you, and nobody's standing guard at the door or anything. So half my brain was in panic, DEFCON, what's the highest DEFCON? Whatever it is, DEFCON 10. And the other half was thinking, there's a movie here. If I look through.
Right. Your brain's always working, for sure.
Yeah, and I tried to get my wife's attention to, like, this could be like a 911 thing. And then finally, he says, happy birthday, from Charlie and Beth. Now, Charlie was Charles Rocket. Do you remember Charles Rocket?
Yeah.
Okay. He was in LA and he couldn't make it to the party. So he and his wife sent a gorillagram. Did they pay attention to the invitation that said it was a costume party? No. If it was a Tuesday and not Halloween, I would instantly see the guy and go, gorillagram, right?
Right.
So that stuck with me. The idea of that you think who's in your own house and behaving like a different character, and it's justified. It makes rational sense. I knew there was a movie there someplace, and then I don't know how many years later I put that together and Satan's Little Helper.
Well, and I mean, I love wrapping that idea into the video game as well, because I mean, just from a commentary standpoint, almost, it really, like, that was around the time when politicians were yelling about video games are rotting our kids' brains and yada yada yada. I mean, for you, was that sort of the main device to try to hook in this idea of having a Satan on top of Halloween? Because I mean, again, it's one of those things where if you just see the kid running around with someone else, you're not going to think about it. But then when people are going in and out, and then there's the parties and everyone's acting wild, it's sort of the extra layer on top of that. I mean,
there's two things. First of all, the movie has to take place. It's a pure Halloween movie, because it wouldn't work.
No,
if someone in the costume. And believe it or not, after the movie, and I don't think it was because of the movie, there was a woman who was hanging for 2 weeks from the house, dead. Real, not murder. She committed suicide, and people walked by the house and said, boy, that looks realistic.
Oh, geez.
Halloween. And there's a lot of, people sending me articles that this could happen, because people are getting more and more outrageous with the the way they dress up the houses, like they do Christmas. How do you know that that's not a real person? And that's what the guy figured out, so he was able to do it. But as far as the video game, what I've done in my career a lot, but certainly like with a movie like Blue Sunshine, is I take, like you said, the government is saying, flagging something and looking at the worst case scenario. And I make a movie as if the worst case scenario is true, because that's where the fun is. If you're going to do a movie of the Bible and you do a movie that says it's all bullshit, that's not fun. What's fun is seeing the river part and the Israelites go through. That's fun to see, right? So that's what I would do, is like satire. Now, I don't know how much video games, I don't go there, and that's up to the audience to figure out what impact. I think they spend too much time playing video games, but I don't think kids are going to go out and kill somebody because they see it in a video game. But around the corner, talk to me if I'm still alive, when holograms come in, that's going to be a game changer.
Oh, for sure.
When you're a kid, and just because you can't put your hand through it, that's the only criteria of whether it's real or not, you're going to have a lot of problems, So
it really felt in this movie that just everyone was on board with sort of the tone of the piece, because I mean, obviously it's a horror movie. You've got to have your prerequisite scares and your gory moments, but I mean, it is deeply and darkly hilarious. I mean, when you're asking actors to sort of read for this, how important is it to make sure that everyone sort of from minute one gets it with the story that you're trying to tell?
It's really funny that you say that, because I never thought about it, because everybody got it. Everybody read the script and they got, well, it also has to do with knowing me and where it's not my first movie, it was my fifth.
Right.
So they know it's, whatever my brand is, this is my shtick. So they know there's going to be a lot of, like, the best example was the cat. That's not in the script, but since I wrote the script, I was, shooting out of order, when you're shooting a movie and then you put the scenes together. So I knew what came after that scene. And I said, all the audience has actually seen this guy do is after he killed people, dragging them out, propping them up on, so he's a baddie, but it's not sick enough for me. The audience has to make the movie in their head more than what you see on the screen. That's the skill of, I don't know, Hitchcock started that. But people will make a more sensational movie in their mind than you could ever put on the screen, no matter how much money you have. So I was thinking, there's something missing here. I know that it's going to cut from here to the house, and the girl is going to, for the first time in the movie, think that this is her boyfriend. And we, the audience, know he's not your boyfriend. Run for your life. But we've only seen him beat somebody up and drag people out afterwards. And then I went, get me a cat. A cat. I said, just get, right now, we have no time, get me a black cat, and it has to have bells around the neck. And I should have said any cat, but I just said a cat. They went and got like a trained $5,000 for a cat, that any cat could have played this role, because all he has to do is be a cat. And it was 2 shots. It was one, you see the cat picked up. And so anyway, we're shooting this thing, and you have 35 people on the crew. And now in the world of video, everybody can see it, on a live screen, video screen. And they see, I said also, go to the toy store and get a black cat, and you take out the stuffing and you put a device, like a sack of fake blood inside. So when he hits the wall, the blood will come out. And it was literally 2 shots, picks up the cat, and you hear a little jingle. And then I shot the reverse, and he hits the wall and writes boo. And these people were freaking out. And I would think, if they're freaking out, knowing exactly how I'm doing this, and that happened on Squirm with the Roger, with the worm thing, they see exactly how it's being done, practical, no CGI. And they're going, no, I say, this has to work for a movie, in a theater, because it's working here without seeing how fake, but it really did look real. And as a matter of fact, the first audience that saw the movie was at the Tribeca Film Festival, which is not a horror audience at all. And there was 400 people gasped at one time when he slams the cat into the wall. And I went, yes. And then, of course, People get upset. They love cats. So I'm thinking rather than say, we didn't kill a cat, when I did the Q&A, I said, don't worry, we only had to kill one cat because we got 9 takes. So to this day, come on, you don't take a cat.
Of course. God. But this is something you brought up on the special features on the Blu-ray as well, just how you guys were sort of in the early days of shooting digital. And I'm kind of curious, did that kind of change your process at all in this one, or did it force you to sort of have to sort of innovate in different ways?
Believe it or not, I 100% regret doing it because I didn't realize how early in the game we were and what was coming. You do a movie today, they don't say shot in digital. It's all digital. Every single thing you see on television and movies, it's all digital. There's no more film. But then they said shot digital because it was a novelty, but it was shot on tape. 1080p. What is it called? HD cam. Right. It was the same camera, literally the same camera, as George Lucas did a digital Star Wars. I don't know which Star Wars was, but he shot it. We had 2 of those cameras, got them cheap, and I realized why, because nobody wanted, it was a transitional, it was the worst of all worlds, really, what it came down to. And it took, to answer your question, I got half the shots that I would have gotten if I shot it in 35. Now, if you shoot digital, I could get 5 times the shots. Wow. So you go really fast and you keep the camera. There's no reason, when you say rolling, there's no rolling. Nothing's rolling, right? Say roll camera. The only way you roll a camera today is take the camera and throw it down the hill. It'll roll. But as far as there's nothing moving at all. And that's for the sound and the picture. So you just keep the camera going. They have these big memory cards. And, I could step in and talk to an actor. You don't have to turn the camera off. It's a whole other world. But with that, it was, like I said, it was the worst of all worlds. And I regretted it the second day. But you can't go back to film,
For sure. No, I'm curious because, just in watching this film, obviously I was on the floor laughing. But, there is a lot of, not just social commentary, but kind of subversive, a little sick, a little twisted humor. And it feels like we've lost that. And I'm kind of curious, from your perspective, do you think that's why this film managed to sort of get legs in and of its own? Because we've lost that ability to sort of be a little dark and demented with our horror and our humor and to sort of have a laugh at it sometimes.
You're using an expression that I nothing offends me, but you're coming close by saying we, because I'm not part of that we.
Fair enough, yeah.
And I got a sense that you're not either.
No, you're absolutely right.
Therefore, don't say we. You don't have to give in to bullshit. You call bullshit, bullshit. That's all. And
Amen to that, for sure.
It's not my problem. Didn't I do a rant? I did a rant on this. I went into a whole rant.
You did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, you're not going to use this. And the 2 guys said, we're totally going to use it. You said what so many people think, and they don't. I don't get it. Why are we subservient to bullshit? It's like, I don't care. Oh, you're offended? Who? I never used to hear the word offended when I was growing up. Never. Nobody used that word. And it's like, and if somebody's offended, why is it my job to figure out what offends you and then dance around it? I'm offended by everybody being offended. I'm offended by you being offended by me. So you can't talk. That's my rule. It's an insanity that what I don't get about the insanity is why people buy into it. Why do you pay attention to it? You don't like it? I'll pay you not to see the movie. You know what I mean? I don't have to kowtow. That's what's great where you're in Canada.
Yeah, Toronto, yeah.
You don't know any better. But here in America, we have this thing called freedom of speech. It's the greatest fucking thing about this country. Don't fuck with that. That's huge. It's a sacred thing. If you don't like what I say, you have every right to not like it. I don't care, right?
For sure.
So what's the big deal? you know, to you, oh, you today you can say that. And they always say you can. I say, what do you mean? You mean I can or you can? You're the one that's censoring yourself. I don't do it. So, yeah, getting back to a convoluted way to answer the question, Satan's Little Helper, I didn't set out to offend as many people as I could, but I scored a lot of offensive points, which was great. And the only thing that I didn't expect is that South America, the sales, like nobody wanted the movie.
Really?
Because of the Catholic dominance of the South American countries. You know, I mean, you got a character actually saying that Jesus is Satan. Now, you know, in context of the story, she's making sense. But, you know, and the idea of a kid being pals with Satan to people who actually believe in Satan, so it cost me a lot of money. That's, you know, but other than that, I don't care if they see it. And here's an interesting little story that we were shooting with the Satan Man guy, who was great, and in the mask, and everybody was used to it. Nobody really reacted one way or the other, you know, with working. And then came the day we were going to see him as Jesus for the first time. And I'm seeing it the first time because I saw the mask, but it's a big difference. It was a genius mask. You had to put it on the face to see what it's going to look like. So the guy comes down the stairs for makeup, and everybody got quiet. And he's Jesus. He's got the whole, you know, like in the movies, got the robe and the thorns and the whole bit. And my AD looked like somebody who was really seasick. He got white and he started to shift. And I said, Neil, you okay? He says, I just need some air. And he went outside. And then a couple of other people on the set, they all went to Catholic school. And they was freaked out of the Jesus, but not the Satan guy, Jesus. My wife went to Catholic school. She thinks it's, you know, it's a joke. But my friend, he's my friend also, but my AD, Neil Daly, he said, I can't believe I'm reacting this way. You know, the Jesus thing is like so scary. He said, that's scary. Great. I mean, I was like, it would never occur to me, never in a million years it would occur to me. And so one of the things that I did in the movie that I don't know for sure came across, but it was a big deal to me, is when the kid, you ever see when you were a kid, or I was a kid, I'd say, who can win a fight, Superman or Batman or King Kong against, you know, Godzilla.
Right,
we do that all the time. You know, Godzilla could rip and say, yeah, but King Kong could jump on a tree and then the fly. And I wanted the kid to represent, from a kid's point of view, there's no difference between Jesus and Satan and Batman. These are all fictional characters. And so one's not less fictional than the other. They're all fictional characters. To say, well, Jesus could just like call God and get God to, yeah, but Batman could, you know what I mean? And I wanted to portray that. And what better way to portray that is Halloween, you know, everybody has context. But I don't know how much of that meant a lot to me, because from a kid's point of view, which I can still see things from a kid's point of view, believe it or not, I hope they don't see any difference and that they can, you know, not be afraid of some character that's not real, that's going to control their life, you know. So
because the kid isn't
heavy, huh?
the bullshit. That's the magic.
Yeah, yeah. And he believed it. And, you know, like he said, he prays, and then the doorbell rings, and he thinks that God is coming to answer his prayer. And so it would be the same thing as, you know, calling Batman, you know. So I put all that. One thing I had, you know, this is the first time I had like total creative freedom. And a lot of times that's not a good thing, because you need somebody to, like on Squirm, if I had total creative freedom, I never would have finished the movie. I had bosses. Like it was almost like a studio environment where like you can go only so far in any direction, where here I didn't have that at all. But again, it was my fifth movie, so I was the one that was being responsible for the money and you know, all those kind of things, and yet trying to be as crazy as I could. And then you got Amanda Plummer. I mean, Amanda Plummer is the most unique actor I've ever come across, because you can't, if somebody said to me, how do you direct Amanda? I go, well, you don't really. I don't know how I was able to get the performance out of her. A lot of it has to do with trust. That she has to trust you, and you have to give her a lot of room to do her thing, and then interact with the other actors. So we did have rehearsal, which really helped, so she could make it her own character, And I was just delighted to work with somebody on that level, It was where I worked with George Kennedy once, just before Dawn, and he had won an Academy Award. So how big can you get,
Yeah.
Yet he was like cookie cutter. He's George Kennedy. You put a cowboy hat on him, he's George Kennedy out west. You put a sheriff's badge, a police outfit, and that's him. He's not like an actor. He doesn't play different characters, just like John Wayne. You put a different uniform on him, and he's that guy. So it was with him, it was like plug and play, because you give him directions and he'd go, super, like he really dug what you said. And he goes and does carbon copy of the last thing, the last take. And then I realized, all right, well, as long as the camera's in focus, we'll move on, because I could do it 12 times. I'm going to do it 12 exact times. Where Amanda, sometimes she wouldn't even talk. She would make noises. She was a free spirit. It was up to me to cut it in my head and see how, because the script supervisor said, she didn't say two of those lines. She just mumbled. I said, trust me, it's going to work, because her emotion was right. And that was exciting for me, to work with somebody that was, so much more experienced than I am anyway.
Well, and it felt like Katheryn was open to that as well. This is one of her earlier performances, and she does a really good job in this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny that I have a record, an impeccable record of casting the wrong people. Not wrong. No, I shouldn't say that. I cast the right people, but I passed on people that, okay, now I'm going to become a superstar, like Johnny Depp and
right,
and Sylvester Stallone. The people that I could have had, just though say, okay, you cast, and I didn't. I'm a genius at it. So when Katheryn came in, and I said, well, there's another Kim back. She's a very beautiful girl. So I'm thinking, okay, don't fuck it up like you did with Kim Basinger. And she made it down to the final. I don't even remember who were, one or two other girls. But I said to her, I'm coming close to casting you, so I want to warn you of something. If I cast you in this movie, you might never work again. And I gave her the list of the people that I said, if I turn you down, and I gave her a list of, Jeff Goldblum, what is his name? Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I turned him down to Blue Sunshine, to fly and become a big star.
Sure.
I my record of doing that, you really don't know when someone's going to be a star. So I said to Katheryn, just beware that is a real possibility, where if you don't get the part, you're probably going to be, your name's going to be in lights. And I lost my touch, because she did the movie.
And now her name is in lights.
Yeah, I lost my magic touch. She's actually up there on the billboard. I was on Sunset Boulevard. There's Vikings. There's Katheryn. And now she's got a TV series that went, or I lost my curse. You look at it.
No, just to put a bow on this, I'm kind of curious. This, obviously, it's been years since you made the film. And just revisiting, I do get a sense of joy from just you and talking about it. But there was joy in watching it as well. For you, what do you hope the legacy of this film ultimately is, as new audiences get to see it for the first time?
Oh, believe me, if you would have said to me, okay, you make no money on this movie, okay, but here's a deal with the devil. But it's going to become the Christmas Story, that they have Christmas Story marathons, with the Gene Shepard thing.
Right.
In a heartbeat, That's what I would want. And guess what? It's creeping to that point right now. I could feel it. I do these horror conventions, and people come up and they have their kid, and he says, "Oh, he sees it with his friends. They watch it 50 times." Like my daughter, when she was that age, she watched, Robin Hood Men in Tights about 127
Right,
times. And
right.
people are getting to that point where the family gets together to watch Satan's Little Helper on Halloween, and it's like I said, it is a Halloween movie, and and a lot of people say it's better than Halloween, the movie Halloween, and I don't think that's a fair. They're two totally.
Oh, apples and oranges. Yeah.
I think that the only knock that you could say about Halloween, the movie Halloween, is that it didn't have to be Halloween. It was called the Babysitter Murders. I mean, John Carpenter's a genius, and Deborah Hill, I don't know which one said, let's set it on Halloween so we can call the movie Halloween, which is great. But it could have been, Thanksgiving.
True.
It could have
Yeah.
been anything. But they're actually, if you're going to go by a new category, pure Halloween that can only be on Halloween, it probably is the best one. Maybe.
Oh, I agree with you on that, man. And you know what? Thank you for making that fucked up little deal with the devil to give us our messed up Christmas story, because that's what this film is. And I mean, I had such a good time with it, and I can't wait for more people to see it. And sir, keep up the good work. Thanks for the time today, man.
Thank you. Where are you, in Toronto or Montreal?
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, okay. That's because I did a film. I did some with Chris Alexander.
Oh, I know Chris. Yeah, he's outside of Toronto, but he's
No, I mean I did a horror convention there.
oh,
Somewhere.
possible. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
possible. Yeah.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
again, congrats,
Everybody
man.
go out, get the Blu-ray, and watch it on October 31st. Yes.
Absolutely.
I can't see it. Thank you. Take
Thanks
care.
again, Jeff.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.